Fact check. Brexit and the lies told during the Remain campaign. Whether you're for or against Brexit, I think we can all agree that we want this national embarrassment to be over and done with. And after 3 years, intense negotiations, Theresa May's resignation, and the reinforcement of right-wing voices in the European elections, i.e. the Brexit Party, it's clear that this is a problem that's not going away. Clearly, the resurgence of nationalist sentiment is not something to be taken lightly at all. And regardless of what the mainstream media tells us, individual voters skeptical of the EU have many reasons to be concerned. So here's an analysis of some of the lies told by the Remain campaign. Firstly, staying in the EU would create 790,000 new jobs in the UK by the year 2030. This is according to research conducted by the Centre for Economics and Business Research in 2015. However, what the Remain campaign failed to point out is that this is subject to the dream of the European single market actually being fully fulfilled. And given the rise of nationalist groups in Sweden, France, Germany, Hungary, and even Greece, it would have taken a massive shift in national economic policy and a complete overhaul of the public perception of the EU to have achieved this. This report's forecasted growth in the UK's GDP of £218 billion would have acquired quite a hit to the public's energy and transport sector, i.e. loss of jobs in the immediate short term. But more than that, however, the execution of such intimate economic integration would have somewhat disadvantaged the EU, considering we're not in the Schengen zone and we don't use the euro. Further economic integration to the level required by the European single market would also cut a lot of domestic UK industries in favour of larger European multinationals. This can be observed under the Maastricht Treaty, where loads of local jobs were lost due to the European multinationals' greater ability to compete. In other words, jobs would most likely be lost, not created, and the prosperity that the Remain campaign promised would only be concentrated in the hands of a few anyway. Secondly, according to Alan Johnson, former Home Secretary for the Labour Party, claimed that 2/3 of manufacturing jobs are dependent on demand from Europe. Well, let's break down the statistics, shall we? So according to Alan Johnson's maths, and let's hope it's nothing like his colleague Diane Abbott's, that would mean that the UK's manufacturing industry employs 1.7 million people directly as a result of the EU. However, according to a study published by Parliament.uk, this figure stands at actually about 20%. So either the Office for National Statistics have their facts completely wrong, or Mr. Allen is plucking figures out of thin air. And thirdly, Brexit would trigger a second Scottish national referendum. This is something that we heard quite a lot in the Brexit campaign for the Remain side, and it was fairly obvious considering it was plastered all over the Sun and other publications. But the reality is, Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland's First Minister, has already reaffirmed that there will be no talk of Scottish independence until after a Brexit deal was reached. So why did they keep harping on about it? There were flaws on both sides of the Brexit campaign, but these are just some of the lies that were peddled by the Remain side of it.